So it's the 12th of September today, and tomorrow, the 13th, is Roald Dahl Day. And every year I try and make a video of one of his characters drawn by Quentin Blake. So nothing that you see here today is designed by me as such. It's just my representation of it. And I've run a poll on Facebook and other social media asking who I should draw, and everyone has come back pretty much saying that I should draw something called a Muggle Wump Monkey, which I have to be honest, I wasn't familiar with the name. I'd forgotten about it, but I knew the character just visually, so that's who I'm going to be drawing today. I'm sorry that I've not put many videos up recently. It's been quite a hectic time. I'm trying to launch my own book, which is going to have a Halloween theme, which is coming out probably next year now, and these are just a couple of sample images that might or may not be included from it or in it. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about today anyway. So I'm going to start drawing a Muggle Wump Monkey. Now, anyone who's familiar with Quentin Blake's style, it's a very loose and quite, I don't know, sort of fluid motions really. It's actually a lot harder than it appears. But I'm just going to draw a basic character, just so you can sort of try and copy it if you so wish. I'm just going to zoom the camera in a little bit. So here we go. So I'm just going to draw a rough outline first of all, and I am actually copying this. If you see me, my hands keep waving about in the background. I'm trying to keep activating my phone because the picture keeps disappearing, because I'm not that familiar with the character. So I'm just going to make a rough pencil outline first, and then we'll go over it in ink. Shouldn't take that long to draw this one because it's quite a basic character. I wasn't really expecting to be drawing this character, to be honest. I thought it would be something like the BFG or one of the, I suppose, well-known characters. But it wasn't, so makes a nice change. Okay, so that's the head. It's a bit of a strange-looking monkey, but that's roughly how it is, so that's how I'm going to draw it. And then we've got the arm coming out over the top here, and a really rough hand, something like that. He's going to be holding a paintbrush. I've not left enough room there actually, I've got to redo that part. It does a really rough drawing, certainly of the hands. Really sort of a rapid approach to laying the ink down on the paper. Normally I go straight in with the ink, I don't bother with a pencil, but as I say, I'm not really familiar with this particular character, and I just want to get some pencil lines down first, which I'll go over. And we've got the other arm just down here, and again some rough fingers. And he's just holding on to a can of paint. And that's pretty much it for the character itself. You can see the one I'm copying here. I'm just going to put a border around it. Again, really rough. If you try and make them look neat, they just don't look right. This just certainly isn't my normal style anyway. But yeah, it just doesn't look right if you do it any other way. I may put some detail in the background later that's not actually on the original. As I say, this is just my representation of it. There we have the pencil layer. Now I'm just going to get some ink, and I'm going to use a dip pen to actually colour the piece in with the ink, or go over it with ink I should say. I'm using quite a stiff nib because I don't want it flicking everywhere, and this is actually exact setup that I believe Quentin Blake himself uses, so that's why I've chosen it for this particular drawing. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just go over the monkey itself. Now these sorts of pens are really scratchy, so you can feel what you're doing. They're not like a liner pen, which is very smooth, and the ink is sometimes quite pale on a liner pen as well. These are very scratchy and quite hard to the touch. If you can hear any strange noises in the background, that's one of my pugs sleeping. I'm not following the pencil line exactly, it's more of a guide really. Okay. I'm just going to put some rough leaves in the background. You can see the splat there from the dip pen. That's why a lot of artists tend not to like them, but I do use them for quite a few of my personal drawings and that kind of thing. Okay, so there we have it. That's the first layer. Indian ink, which is what I'm using to paint this, takes quite a long time to dry. It's not instant. It takes, well, I don't know, probably up to half an hour, but most of it will dry in about 10 minutes, something like that. So I'm going to turn the camera off now, and then when that's fully dry, we'll come back and we'll colour it in. As you can see, I got a little impatient waiting for them to dry, so it has smudged in places, but it's not really going to matter for this particular video. But that's what happens if you get impatient. You can fix it in Photoshop, but I don't tend to use Photoshop very often at all. It's just not something I particularly like using. I'm just getting the colour now to mix for the face. So I'm just mixing some yellows and browns, just coming up with something that sort of resembles whatever's been used in the original. And again, with Quentin Blake, the colour just goes down really quickly, so it's there's not really a lot of time spent on making sure the edges are covered in paint, as well as the main part of the head. And again, that's my pug snoring in the background that you can hear. The body is a slightly darker brown. I don't know, almost like a grey brown really. I think we'll use that, that'll do. So we can get something on there. And it looks like in some of the originals that potentially he's gone over the top with a coloured pencil. I don't think that's something that's commonly done by Quentin Blake, but just some of the images it looks like that's what's happened. I don't know if that is the case, but there's a bit of grain on some of them, which has probably come from that kind of effect. So I might just add a little bit of coloured pencil over the top. So that's pretty much it for the monkey. Again, there's not much of a sort of depth to this one. It's just a sort of a quick wash over the top, really. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to colour the paint bucket in. I'm just using a grey for the actual bucket itself. And just do a dark brown handle on the brush. And I'm just going to put a little bit of brown in the tin just to give it a little bit of depth. And just a little bit more yellow on the edge there. And this isn't in the original at all, but I'm just going to put a blue wash in for the sky and just a little bit of foliage, so some greens around the background as well. And again, this just gets thrown on anyhow, really. It's not a scientific process. And it doesn't really matter if you go over the edges with this style. That's all part of the story of the artwork. And as this is my interpretation of it, I'm going to darken it down just a little bit because it's not quite dark enough for how I want it to be. And that's pretty much it, really. I am going to put a little bit of colour pencil just on some of the monkey itself, but I'm not going to put much on there, to be honest. It just brings out a little bit of texture on the fur. There we go, and that's pretty much it. And it's based on that picture there, in a similar style, but my version of. So I hope you like that. There's a few other characters that I've drawn from Quentin Blake that I've got on my channel. So feel free to click on my channel and go through the videos. There's not a huge amount of videos there at the moment, so they're quite easy to find. So you can have a look on there if you're interested, and please don't forget to subscribe and click like if you like the video. Thanks for watching.